Well, good evening. Oh, wait a minute. This ain't no microphone. Here's the microphone. Good evening, everyone. And I'm sorry tonight. That bitch that runs this channel, well, she ain't here. Okay, she ain't here, and I'm here tonight. My name is Kimberly TamiLaurenGargoyle, and I am a Republican Trump supporting off work. Well, actually, I got fired. Newsweek OAN host. And they even put she was so nice, she put my IQ up there. I'm so embarrassed because it's so high. Well, I'm filling in for that tree-hugging bitch, Sandy. You know, she couldn't be here on her show tonight. So, her show. My God. So, man, I thought this was my microphone. I fucked up there. I done messed up. Okay, well, let me go put that over there so I don't shoot myself. So, tonight, I just want to do a little talking about my man, Donald Trump. My man, my Jesus loving. Come on, guys. We got to pray to start. Can we start praying? We're going to pray for Donald Trump. And then we're going to do this tree-hugging show. Okay? You know, it's funny because I'm from Florida. And I used to really like Ron DeSantis. I used to just love Ron DeSantis because he don't like books. And I don't like books either. But, well, you know, he's going after my man. And if he's going after my man, well, I'm sorry, but that is not going to work. Nope. Not going to work. So, tonight, we have this show. We're going to talk about this cop. And not police cop. You know, not police cop. We're going to talk about this cop, and it says number 28. 28. We're going to talk about this 28 thing, right? And we're going to talk about climate change. What the? Climate change is a hoax. But listen, I need money, and she said she'd give me $50 to do this. So $50 is $50, and I know that since she said she got monetized, you'll all chip in and do those super chat things like every other YouTuber on the planet, right? Right. So we got ourselves a show, and I want to pray. I want to pray to my Lord and Savior. My Lord and Savior. Okay, my Lord and Savior. Now, let's get started. I do have eyes. I take my makeup cues from my Kimberly TamiLaurenGargoyle look, you know. I want to look like a gargoyle. Okay. That, you know, David. Okay, David. I got to find me this chat. David's saying I'm changing between a Bronx and a Southern accent because, well, you know, there's Republicans in the Bronx. There's Republicans in the Bronx. And then there's us Floridians. And then there's those ones, you know, from the way deep south. And I've met plenty of those because I go to those. I go to those events, you know. I go to all the Donald Trump rallies. Now, you know, in the old days, it used to be the Grateful Dead. we used to do the Grateful Dead. But the Grateful Dead, they don't pale into comparison to Donald Trump. Oh my God, Jerry Garcia, good thing he's dead. Because Donald, our man Donald, well, he's still alive. All right. Well, we really got to get started. So I'm sure that, you know, we'll get started. I just don't want to, you know, I don't want to mix up the microphone from the gun. Whoops. I'm gonna damn near shoot my feet off. Holy shit. It's not scary stuff. Don't worry. It ain't loaded. I might look stupid, but, my boyfriend, J.R. Newsom, well, I am Kimberly TamiLaurenGargoyle, and my boyfriend is J.R. Newsom, and he taught me how to do this. So, here we go. Here we go. So tonight, she left me a show. But I think what we have to do, we have to spirit channel Sandy, because there's no way that Miss Kimberly TamiLaurenGargoyle is going to be able to do this show without channeling some Sandy, and I think the Lord is going to help us. But I gotta say one thing. What that bitch did, she said she let me something to drink. You know what that bitch left me? She fucking left me a queer beer. What the heck is this? Oh my God, what am I supposed to do with this? My God, I can't believe it. These libtards, and they buying their Bud Light queer beer. Or is it trans beer? I don't know anymore. It's just so confusing. Very confusing. My God, I can't believe she did that. Well, anyway, we got a show. We really got a show. So what are we going to do, guys? Let's do the show. She set it up, and we are going to channel Sandy Shellis. And I know I can say her name right. I'm saying it right. Am I saying it right? Am I saying it right? Come on, guys. Give me a yoo-hoo. Should I open it? I haven't had me a Bud Light, and I can't even tell you. I don't even know. I got to do something with my hands. I can't even touch the thing. Holy shit. Well, anyway. All right. One more prayer, and I then will say thank you, Lord Jesus, for being here tonight. $50. She paid me $50. Yeah, I probably did, Gene. Should monetize and demonetize on the same night. All right. Okay. All right, baby. Here we go. Now Sandy's got to come back. So let's channel her, because really she set me up with a whole lot of stuff. So we's going to first put us on a little Halloween background, right? And then we're going to get some Halloween music, right? Yeah. And we're going to listen to this for a while. And then I'm feeling her coming back. Well, Hans, you're not from America. You have to understand. I'll write you and tell you. All right, guys. So, since now we are channeling Sandy and she's coming back, do we take the lipstick off? Do we do the tissue trick? I'm afraid to even do it. Well, anyway, let's say goodbye. Let's give a big applause to Ms. Kimberly TamiLaurenGargoyle. Thank you, Tammy. We're channeling Sandy. She's coming in. Okay. All right. Here we go. So, I set us up. Now we got to get back into Sandy. Ooh, here we go. Sandy's here. Sort of. Okay. Here we go. Way's gonna do the screen share. All right? And I know she set up. Oh, wait, I'm channeling her. So she set up a screen. You know that she did this. All right. See, so she set up a thing. She set it all up. And hey, let's see what this is. What is it? Well, you know what that was? That was me. And my brother. And my brother. All right. I can't even tell you when it was, though. I think that was in California when we were little. I don't even remember the year. But I set up a bunch of stuff. Oh, Sandy set up a bunch of stuff. We're going to do the third person. Ms. Sandy set up a bunch of stuff. Enjoy.
Of course, climate change is a conspiracy made up by socialist empires to push policies. A green apparel, that's our evil plot. Free-range organic humans have the most delicious blood. We'll build clean energy to improve equality, creating lots of jobs with epic guarantee. A well-being revolution, that's our evil plot. Free-range organic humans have the most delicious blood. And recycling is a lie to make you go outside. The night you take your bins out is the night we buy. So now you know our plan to the scale economy. Measure growth and happiness instead of GDP. Don't try to found the others, it's already too late. The next blood we drink is running in your veins.
All right. We like that? I forgot to put the names in. Sandy forgot to put the names in. Dumb broad. She forgot. Here we go. Okay, better options. Because at least what Sandy picked tonight is all the shit she had.
Halloween is always a fun time of the year. It's full of scary movies, spooky decorations,
Hope it's loud
creative
enough.
costumes, and tasty treats. It doesn't, however, have to be full of waste. A lot of the costumes, decorations, and candy wrappers used for Halloween are made up of or contain a lot of plastic. Did you know that all the Halloween costumes made in one single year can contain the same amount of plastic as about 83 million plastic water bottles? And for every 10 Halloween costumes, 4 of them are only worn once and then sent to the landfill, creating 2,000 tons of plastic waste every year. 2,000 tons of plastic waste.
That's a lot of
the
waste
same weight
for
as
this
13
holiday.
adult blue whales. Buying a new Halloween costume every year for just one night is like using single-use plastic bags every time you go grocery shopping. It's a waste. Plastics are bad for the environment because they are made from crude oil, which is a fossil fuel, and their production releases greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, contributing more and more.
Greenhouse
Plastics
gases.
are non-biodegradable, meaning they're not able to naturally decompose like organic materials can.
I might have
And
to
so
go back
most
and
of the
forth
time,
in character.
They end up in landfills where they can take hundreds of years to break
Politically
down.
incorrect
If
straw.
plastics don't make it into landfills, we often see piles of plastic waste end up in the environment or oceans, causing more harm to natural ecosystems. So, we know that plastics are bad for the environment.
They are
but if
bad.
the majority of Halloween costumes and decorations are made from plastic, what can we do? Well, the good news is there are so many ways to reduce unnecessary waste this Halloween and still have a great and sustainable spooky season. Here are a couple of ways you can lessen
Now
your
listen up.
environmental impact and reduce waste
Listen up.
this Halloween. Instead of buying new costumes from the store year after year, you can consider renting instead of buying your costume. Renting a costume is cheaper than buying a new one, and it can be returned and
I didn't
reused
have to
again
rent
next
this
year
crap.
by someone else. Shop around at thrift or secondhand stores for old clothing and other accessories you can use in your costume. Then donate or resell your costume when you're done with it. Reuse and repurpose materials around your house to make as
I'll put all the
creative
names
costumes as
in
you can.
the
Consider using
show notes
leftover
because I forgot.
fabrics, old
I
sheets
usually
and
put them in
bedding,
the
vintage
presentation.
clothing, old sports equipment and jerseys, cardboard, and more. Organize a costume swap with your friends or through social media.
She's giving good ideas.
It's not just costumes that we can be more environmentally conscious about when it comes to Halloween. If you go trick-or-treating, make sure to carry reusable bags with you to collect your candy, instead of buying molded plastic jack-o'-lanterns or plastic bags to collect candy. You can use cloth or canvas bags. Pillowcases can be a great choice. They are washable and can usually hold
Pillowcases.
more candy than a typical shopping bag.
We were doing that back in the
Decorations are also typically made of
1800s.
plastic and are non-recyclable. So just like our Halloween costumes, there are many ways to get creative with them. Get secondhand decorations from a thrift store or make your own using objects from around your house. You can make spooky eyes out of toilet paper rolls or tombstones from cereal boxes or candy corn decorations from yarn. Make your own using natural materials that you can compost and return to nature when you're done with them. You can make a Wicked Witch's broomstick from sticks and twigs or
I'll get her
creepy
name.
dollies
I'm
made from
sorry.
pine cones. Use the decorations you already have. Make sure to store them safely throughout the year so you can reuse them year after year. Another important note, avoid using the stringy, cottony spider webbing decorations outside because they can sometimes entrap birds or entangle other wildlife. As you can see, there are so many ways you can help reduce waste and make an impact this Halloween. Halloween is meant to be spooky, but it doesn't have to be scary for the environment. Happy trick-or-treating.
She's Canadian, of course. Wonderful Canadians. We love Canadians. All right. Well, we're going to move on. I thought I thought to start with some clothing was important since I have a ton of it that I have just started going through to give away. I won't even tell you the joke I was making with Sam the other night of how many years of clothing. All right. Here we go. Now, spend, spend, spend. We just learned how not to, and now we're going to learn that everybody is.
Spending on Halloween this year is expected to reach new and frightening heights. 22 News reporter Kiara Smith has the details on how much people are spending for the holiday.
It's Halloween weekend and Americans are decorating their homes, dressing up in costumes, and going trick-or-treating. But one of the scary things about Halloween this year is that people are expected to spend about $12 billion on the holiday, according to the National Retail Federation. Last year, Halloween spending was at $10.6 billion. Trinity from Springfield says her family goes all out for the holiday.
We go all out. We buy animatronics, we buy spider webs, we buy the lights, we buy everything, and we even buy costumes time to time from Spirit Halloween.
NRF reports that the average American is spending about $37 on costumes this year, which is 9% more than last year. António says her family saves money by starting their Halloween shopping in August, buying more and more decorations over time. According to NRF, Halloween decor was the next most expensive item, costing an average of about $19. Dewan was out buying a last-minute costume.
I had this.
He says moving forward, one way to keep up with these prices are to budget.
Budget better, you know.
So old, I'll probably get some kind of
didn't
infection.
expect this down the road, but we're going to have to make the best of what we got to do.
And this year, reports show that candy is 7.5% more expensive than in 2022. NRF says the average person will likely spend more than $30 on candy. But even though prices are high, some people say they will still go out and make the best of the holiday. Working for you, Kiara Smith, 22 News.
All right. So now we learned how to save and spend. Now, I'm going to move on because actually this week, this just happened. There were fires in Southern California, and I don't know if they were out, but this is certainly not a Halloween view. This just happened. Just happened. More fires. Look at the horses. Although I don't like the pens all that much compared to where I live. And the horses are running out. There's no pens. So, but that's what's happening down there. make the polluters pay. Yeah, definitely. Okay, that didn't work. I was reading all about Nordhaus today and that whole scam of it's a whole long story, but that's not what we're going in on our show. And in case anybody doesn't know, tonight I am my alter ego is Kimberly. My name is Kimberly TamiLaurenGargoyle, but I am now channeling Sandra. I am channeling Sandy through Lord Jesus Christ. And so she is now doing the show because I wasn't able to, but I was filling in for her. All right. Now, we're going to move on. Now we're going to look at Southern California, what they're spraying on the fires. It's very quiet. But that's the airplane stuff. And it's pretty scary, isn't it? All that pollutant and fire retardant, but what does it do? So much of this stuff has been sprayed this year. Everywhere. Canada. I mean, the North America's got hammered. I don't even know what's going on with Canada. I don't know, guys. All right, so now we're going to move on to a little activism. She's stuck in some activism.
Que les gouvernements s'engagent plus et plus fort pour lutter contre le dérèglement climatique. On a l'impression que ce n'est pas le cas. C'est-à-dire qu'aujourd'hui, on se retrouve tous les ans avec ces conférences mondiales pour le climat qui se répètent. Et finalement, on est chaque fois en fin de conférence.
Same thing. Disappointed, frustrated, angry because the government does not seem to take measures and above all does not seem to propose action plans. Yep. Every year. Same year. Hi, Kevin Shanholder. Kids are out there doing it till they get arrested.
C'est pas les humains contre la nature, c'est les humains dans la nature. Et si on ne change pas maintenant notre façon de vivre, mais pas que à l'échelle individuelle, mais surtout à l'échelle globale, on va pas pouvoir continuer dans ce monde-là et ça va arriver très très vite.
Hi, Shade Dragon. Obsolete Optics. Channel Warhorse. Jean. Thank you for moderating, Kim. Yep. So this is every year. That was France. And actually, I will say that France, and now I'm totally Sandy, France put in its constitution the right for a woman to choose. Pretty good. At least that's what I heard. That's what I read. I wish we would do that in the United States. Okay, now we're going to move on. I follow these guys every year at COP28. We always follow the COPs. We just do. It's news. We talk about what's going on. And there's the We Don't Have Time group, and I call them the capitalists.
Det här är briljant.
What kind of soft drink?
There's an increasing demand of energy production in the world today. And 3/4 of all that energy is being wasted out into the atmosphere. Experts say that that energy could heat up all of Europe alone. Welcome to Burger King in Malmö, Sweden. But I'm not here to serve you any burgers or any fries or any drinks. I'm actually here to show you NJ's technology, how it works in the real life. So join me. In clean areas such as residential and offices, we're actually quite good at recovering the energy. But when it comes to process ventilation within fast food, like in here, or industrial laundry or heavy industry, it's not being recovered at all. The mix of grease and soot and quite warm air is creating this tarmac that is clogging up and destroying traditional heat exchanger. And that is where we have put our science and research in to overcoming that. The space between the coils is much larger than between the fins of a traditional heat exchanger. The result is a unique airflow pattern where most of the particles can pass through the heat exchanger instead of sticking to the coils. So this is a typical Burger King. And when it's fully operating, it's steaming hot in here. It can be up to 30 degrees hot, and all of that hot air is just being extracted
and factory
out
farmed
in the beef.
beef.
See here.
Yuck.
Up here, through the ductwork, through our unit, heating up the cold water going in our coils, and the cold water gets warm and heating up the building again, and actually cover 98% of the heating usage for this building. And this is only one kitchen for Burger King. Burger Kings, they have several kitchens in Scandinavia with our systems, in the Baltics, in the UK, and that is just one brand. Other brands has followed because they can see that they have ways as well. And on the industrial side, it's even a bigger impact. It can be up to 20, 30 times higher the effect of savings. What we can see is that the more money our customer saves, the bigger effect we have on reducing CO2 emissions. This is a bit of utopia, of course, but when you talk about potential, if all restaurants should recover their energy from our system, we would cut 1% of the calculated emissions by 2050. And that is just for restaurants. Then you have industrial. So if we could get 99 more companies do
I
the
know
same thing
sunflowers.
as we will solve the crisis we have today.
Humpty.
That's enough.
We're going to
Just
solve the
99
crisis today.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Solve the crisis today. We're going to solve the crisis today, but I'll follow these guys. I always follow. We don't have time. I will follow them, and we will see what they are up to. Definitely, we will see what they're up to, because it's interesting. First of all of these companies and corporations, and as I always say, they're on, you know, they're on around the world. And we might as well show it, because it is news of what's happening out there, and we should all be informed. I believe that. Now, we're going to segue a little from we don't have time. Ghost forests. And yes, I understand what let me see if I can get some comments up here, what you can do. I like seeing people trying something already. Yeah, they're going to do it. It's not like people aren't going to do it. They're going to. That's the human way. We put up, we take paradise and we put up a parking lot. Ooh. Okay. Now we're going to ghost forests. It's Halloween. We have to talk about ghost forests.
To build a better world.
Absolutely.
Ahead of Earth Day tomorrow, we're introducing you to conservationists studying a striking indicator of climate change. This morning, we're learning about ghost forests.
Now, you can't get any more Halloween than that.
Rising sea levels. Nancy Chen recently took a trip inside a ghost forest.
As the sun rises over Maryland's Chesapeake Bay, a new chapter of the climate change story is unfolding.
So this is the start of a ghost forest?
That's right. This is the early beginnings of a ghost forest. This forest is effectively dead already. The trees just don't know it yet.
Scientists like Matthew Kerwin say ghost forests are the haunting result of rising sea levels. Since the late 19th century, at least 100,000 acres of forest here have transformed into a growing cemetery of trees.
What creates a ghost forest? How is a ghost forest formed?
Sea level rise and coastal flooding bring in salt. It accumulates in the soil, eventually builds up to levels that the trees can't survive. At that point, the trees start dying, and eventually there's no new trees to replace them. And so when they die, the only thing that's left is the marsh around it.
How quickly does this happen?
It can be slow if you're looking at it from year to year, but then a couple years goes by and you realize that whole stand of trees is no longer there.
The dying trees represent a personal loss for Kerwin, whose family has lived along Maryland's eastern shore for 10 generations. They've seen communities disappear as land is lost.
It must be emotional to see all of this.
It is, and as a scientist, I think the sense of inevitability is a little stronger for me. You know, everybody thinks of sea level rise in terms of flooded city streets and subways and catastrophic hurricanes like Katrina, but really the impacts of sea level rise in most places are far more subtle.
Subtle steps that eventually lead to this.
This effectively is the final stage of the ghost forest. Where we are now, this was forest land maybe 70 years ago. And now if you look around, it's a real marsh.
It's a problem coastlines are facing across the country, but nowhere as dramatically as the hotspot between North Carolina and Massachusetts. That's where sea level is rising 3 times faster than global rates.
The Chesapeake Bay is especially vulnerable to ghost forests because of how flat this land is. The forest here is retreating at a rate of 15 feet a year, and that's accelerating.
The ghost forests are the most striking indicator of climate change we have anywhere on the East Coast. We're used to seeing pictures of glaciers that have melted and retreated back miles. Well, it's the same thing here. We have the remains of trees that mark where dry usable land was just a couple generations ago.
Is there anything anyone can do to bring it back?
That's something I struggle with. I'm supposed to try to think of solutions for these problems, and you know, I can't come up with any solutions for saving hundreds of thousands of acres of forest. And so where I come down is to try to ensure that if we're going to lose all that forest, that we at least get something in return, and that's the marshes.
Through fieldwork, Kerwin and a team of researchers are salvaging what's left behind and nurturing the marshes they've become.
We all benefit from marshes. Marshes are just famous, ecologically important ecosystems. They rival the tropical rainforests. They sequester carbon, they improve water quality, and so the loss of the trees is inevitable. But whether we get marshes to take their place and what kind of marshes, that's not inevitable.
Farther north, a similar mission is underway to address the rapid rise of ghost forests in New Jersey.
We knew this was a problem for a while, but it really became visible in recent years where it's coming up against places where people live and they can see it.
Is this considered a Band-Aid? Is this a solution?
Well, this is a partial solution.
Forester Bill Zipse supervises a tree restoration site the state of New Jersey built a decade ago. The goal is to reforest 10,000 acres of Atlantic white cedar trees, destroyed by Superstorm Sandy and saltwater intrusion. Zipse's team is planting new trees miles inland, where they're less likely to become ghost forests.
With the climate literally changing around us, adaptation is the key. You know, so we may not get the forest back exactly the way it was or exactly where it was, but we can keep that resource alive on the landscape.
Its effects reverberate far beyond this forest.
Oh, absolutely. It plays a much larger role in the overall surrounding ecosystems. And I think that's important for people
you don't
to
need
remember.
my
It's
mic
not a
on.
hopeless story. These forests can be restored, they can be saved, and you can adapt.
Researchers predict that over the next century, up to 18,000 square miles of dry land in the U.S., about the size of Maryland and Vermont combined, could be submerged in water. I mean, you talk about saving the forest for the trees, and it's haunting when you see the change that has happened in just one generation.
But there does seem to be some hope there, Nancy, at the
Hope,
end. Where
Bill.
it says these forests can be saved. We need to pay attention to that, right?
Yes, exactly. And it's something that people should be aware of that's happening. A lot of folks who don't live near the water don't realize these communities are being
lot
lost,
of folks
but they
don't
are trying
realize
to
a lot of
grow
things.
new forests and also nurture the marshes these forests have become.
As long as we still have solutions, we have hope to restore.
Hopium.
Nancy.
All right. Now, let me see which one this was. Sorry, I got a oh, that's a ghost forest. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good because actually there are ghost forests everywhere. And I see them I see them here. And then I don't like to see who likes to see it? Okay.
Good.
glad you're streaming with us. Well, a startling alarm on climate change now being sounded by a collaboration of scientists. World Weather Attribution just released this report saying human-caused climate change played a huge role in the catastrophic flooding in Libya. That group found human-induced climate change made that heavy rainfall up to 50 times more likely. Chief meteorologist and managing editor of the ABC News Climate Unit, Ginger Zee, joining me now. So, Ginger, let's just talk about how the World Weather Attribution Group came to this conclusion and how long did it take?
Right. So it was actually a really fast term for an attribution study. 13 scientists from around the world came together and said, okay, let's look at what happened in Libya, in Greece and Turkey too, and say, exactly how would it be different than it would have been without the warming of today? So they basically said, today we're 1.2 degrees Celsius warmer than we were pre-industrial revolution. Then they took the same data and the inputs into the modeling, stripped us of all this warming, went back to the 1800s, like the world would have been without the emissions-based warming, and said, what would it have done then? That's what gave them the difference in those two is up to 50 times different. Now, they were very clear that the rainfall was one thing. The human engineering and lots of other factors played into what ended up happening and how many people died. But when it comes to precipitation, we know that a warmer world certainly has the ability to make extremes more extreme.
And we've talked about this, and the experts that long said that floods pose a significant danger to two dams meant to protect nearly 90,000 people in the northeast of Libya. We saw exactly what happened here with those dams. So were the warnings from scientists ignored?
I thought that this was pretty
I think
good reporting.
scientists, as far as in the atmospheric sciences, would have told you that this event was so well forecast. I mean, look at this. This is called the Omega Block, and so you'll see Libya's down here. That low pressure system was meant to be sitting there for days and days. What was not well done was there were warnings about the engineering. We also, and they pointed to this in the World Weather Attribution study, that there were, this is an area of conflict, that land use was all part of it. So there were so many variables that played in. The rain was well forecast. It's just that having extremes like that are going to be more extreme. So we're going to have to be better about building in future.
So meanwhile, in New York, we've been talking about this week as well, Climate Week, and that means climate change protests. Those continue, and the demonstrators are now planning to be outside the Bank of America Tower in Bryant Park, saying that the bank is the third largest financier of fossil fuels. Give us some context. Where do we stand, compared to the rest of the world when it comes to fossil fuel consumption at this point?
Kira, it doesn't matter what I say about climate or weather or really anything at this point. I almost always have people say, well, what about China? And I think it's really important to delineate who is emitting what and who is consuming what. The United States is by far the largest consumer of fossil fuels. China's actually lower there. They're consuming and burning more coal. That's why in this next graphic, you're going to see China skyrocketed in the last 30 years into their annual CO2 emissions. The U.S., we're going down. We had a really big low when it came to the pandemic, but India's still on the climb, but far, far away from where China is. I think also really important for everyone to know, it is not just about what's happening today, but what has happened the last 200 years. And the United States holds, not a great trophy to hold, but the legacy load, meaning that we have had more cumulative CO2 emissions by far than even the EU or China. China, again, is on the quick increase. But I should note that a big theme of pretty much any climate conference, but certainly New York City Climate Week, is that these big nations and the developed nations that are not only consuming the most fossil fuel, emitting the most CO2, but they are helping to warm the world that then is creating extremes where underdeveloped or less developed countries are the most vulnerable to climate change. Those countries highlighted on this map.
She did a good
All
piece
right,
here.
Ginger Zee, our expert
That
indeed.
was good.
Thank you so much, Ginger.
Ginger Zee and Jeff.
Hi, everyone. George
I don't
Stephanopoulos
want to
here. Thanks for
watch
checking out
him.
the
Ginger Zee and Jeff Baradelli, I like them both as meteorologists. And, of course, I love our own Nicholas Humphrey. So I had to take off and reapply differently some of that costume stuff. Ugh. Okay. So anyway, that was pretty good. Ginger Z is awesome. Window for stopping global warming above 1.5 C rapidly closing. And he looks up from his coffee and he goes, Shit. Yeah, shit. La Haina, Derna, Acapulco. Yes, I bring all of it all in one show. No sugarcoating. It's happening. That's it.
UN scientists have given their final warning on how to save the planet from the climate crisis. In a major report, it says the world is miles off doing what it needs to do for a livable future. So let's take a look.
In short, our world needs climate action on all fronts, everything, everywhere, all at once.
The IPCC is the UN's climate science body, and what it says matters. It forms the basis of government policy all around the world, and this is the last report until the end of the decade. So it says the climate crisis is unequivocally driven by humans, mostly from burning fossil fuels which are wrecking the planet. And it says the impacts are much worse than we thought. Almost half the global population live in areas which are highly vulnerable to climate change. To stop the worst, we need to cut emissions by nearly half by 2030. But at the moment, they're still rising. Good news is that the report says the solutions are here and they're affordable, but says that politicians around the world need to act.
Okay, do you think the politicians around the world are going to act? I mean, we have in the United States it wasn't the Build Back Better anymore because that got all messed up, but the infrastructure bill passed. There are things happening to clean up things, but it's not the kind of remediation. I mean, they did put a lot into climate carbon capture, which I don't think is a solution at all. I do like all the natural things, regrowth, degrowth. I think there should be a look at the degrowth movement. And even, I said this before, real progressive Steve Grumbine, he is matching up with the degrowth scientists. And I think it could be very interesting. And I said that before. I might even have Steve on the show. He's the one that gave me a start. I never live streamed before I met him. So the last one in this presentation is, of course, for Halloween. American politics is certainly horrifying. It is certainly horrifying. Civil rights, public education, empathy, critical thinking, libraries, diversity, Moms for Liberty. She wants to put them away. That's it. All right. Moms of Liberty. We are living in some interesting times, aren't we? All right, guys, we're going to move over to the article part. But before we do that, I want to look at you guys. I want to talk to you guys for a minute and see how this is going. Because it is Halloween, and I did do a whole Halloween thing, and people come in late, and they don't know what they're seeing. And why do I look like this? Because I'll put it on one more time. I was Kimberly TamiLaurenGargoyle. I am a Republican Trump supporting off-work Newsmax and OAN host with an IQ of 88. Filling in for that tree-hugging bitch, Sandy. Okay, so that was my Halloween costume. In case anybody didn't see it, I've kind of lost it now. Now we got into the heavy shit. And you get into the heavy shit, and that's when things change, right? It's when things change. So we're going to look at a couple of comments. Now, you guys, this is the first time I've ever been monetized. And before we go into the other thing, oh my God, I still have all this shit on my lips. Why didn't you tell me? Okay. Clean off Halloween costume with Sandy Shellis of old stuff that was laying around the bathroom that I probably should have thrown away a couple of years ago. And when I do put lipstick on, there's a certain kind of thing because I get dried up. That's why I drink a lot of water. I have this illness that makes me need water and not diabetes either. Oh my God. Okay. So we're going to do this because I've never done this before. It's the first time. And then we'll move on and I'll show you what I set up for the other half of the show. I've never done this. So I'm going to do this and say thank you and see how this comes up on the screen. What do? Add to the broadcast. Okay. Global solidarity. That was really nice. Thank you so much. I've watched other people get super chats and do all this stuff for so long, and it's amazing. And I'm also playing with the text at the same time. So I'm grateful, and I'm not sure how to really, I don't know. It's weird. I'm not sure how to really be. So I'm going to say thank you to everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Maybe I'll get a roof. I hope. Oops. Okay. Kristen Rose, you sweetheart. Thank you. You guys are really nice. This is like weird because like I've been the one that's always, when I had money, I would give people super chats. I never did it. I never did this. $20. Thank you. I was going to send this to Kenny Copeland, but Jeebus told me to send it right on here. Yeah, praise the Lord. He's with us tonight. He is with us tonight. He is watching over us, and he's passing the collection plate. Thank you. $10 from Jan. Sandy, it's an Oscar. All right, I'll take the Oscar. Yes. Even though I'm just sitting here with lipstick all over my face, I'll take it. Thank you. All right, now, Pinkerbell, $2. Thank you, sweetheart. When did you get monetized? I did it, and it actually wasn't hard, and I wasn't going to do it after all these years. I mean, this is like 7 years, and then I just had to buy me a coffee. So you've all heard that story. This is fun, though. I'm excited. Maybe things will go a little bit better. And I know they're not in the world, but and I know that our content is really tough. But if I don't do it, and there's a few of us that do it, nobody else is going to do it like this. So you might as well get it all at once. All right. Dwayne. Thank you. A rainbow clapper board with the words behind the scenes. Yeah, that would be kind of cool, right? I had this one. I could piss off Looney Tunes. He doesn't like that one. Trump one. No, we'll put the Halloween one back on. Thank you so much. Thank you. This is really cool. And again, Dwayne. God love you, Sandy. God love you, Sandy. And I'm not making fun of the Jared Brock kind of God. I was making fun of those evangelicals. You know what? I think I freaking bruised my lip putting all that shit on. I hurt myself. Oh my God. Thank you. Okay. And again. Oh my God. Yes. $10 from Dwayne. God love you, Sandy. Sending my thoughts and prayers. Please send a gay beer, dear. I had the Bud Light. I had me that Bud Light, but I'm not drinking that Bud Light. I bought that Bud Light. That's been in the refrigerator for the slugs in the garden that I put in the cans. Thank you, sweetheart. Yep, I did it. I had the whole thing done. Yeah, it was fun. I had to get my mind. Oh my gosh. He's buying me. Dwayne, I'm getting a roof because of you. Thank you, Judy. Oh, this was like, I don't know, maybe should I put on the real sad, like this music and say thank you. I love you guys. That was great. No, I'm turning it off. We're going. It was great, but we're going to go because I want to go to we're not going to spend a million years on it, but I do have a whole other thing set up. So give me a second and I will change to the screen share and we're going to look at this stuff because it tells a story. So the show is about COP28 and we've been doing this year after year after year. on the Council of the Parties from the United Nations, International Panel on Climate Change. We read the reports. We review the reports. We know the players. There's new people with us, too. And so I'm going to go through this. I probably won't read it, but this is Stephen Ramsdorf. This sums up science denial on social media. They wrote a paper, right? And I'll show you the paper. And it's called Extreme Weather in a Changing Climate. And it's a very good paper with all kinds of 39 references to other studies, putting the picture together. And Stephen gets frustrated at these clueless morons. There is no evidence to claim extreme weather events are on the rise. To the contrary, this guy, he's a drip. Our awareness of extreme weather events is on the rise because global media coverage can report every adverse event in detail for the first time in history. Okay, you keep telling yourself that, Wes. You just keep telling yourself that. And this is the research. This is the extreme weather in a changing climate. And if this was a different show, I would love to read this one because I got it in a PDF and it really is good. It's a good encapsulation of everything that's happening. It just was published this month. They did a very good deep dive. I would, but Paul Beckwith will probably end up doing this. So it was the abstract, real quick. Extreme weather events are rising at a pace which exceeds expectations based on thermodynamic arguments only, changing the way we perceive our climate system and climate change issues. Every year, heat waves, floods, wildfires bring death and devastation worldwide, increasing the evidence about the role of anthropogenic climate change in the increase of extremes. In this Viewpoint article, we summarize some of the most recent extremes and put them in the context of the most recent research on atmospheric and climate sciences, especially focusing on changes in thermodynamics and dynamics of the atmosphere. While some changes in extremes are to be expected and are clearly attributable to rising greenhouse gas emissions, others seem counterintuitive, highlighting the need for further research in the field. All right, so this is really cool. Download the PDF. You can, if you're a nerdish person that likes this. I do. Now we're going to move on because the leader of the COP, and this is why people are very upset about this year, because this guy, Sultan Al Jaber, will be front and center. He is the United Arab Emirates' choice to head up the climate talks, and he also happens to be head of the National Oil Company. So what's the problem with that? He asks. Well, we asked, not that one. No. Okay. Senator Whitehouse in the United States, they asked, and it probably didn't happen, right? Manon Aubry lead transatlantic letter it was the UK also. Climate talks free of fossil fuel industry interference. So in the lead up to COP28, 133 U.S. and European elected officials urge ouster of oil executive as president of upcoming climate talks. Okay. Letter also encourages the UNFCCC to require companies participating in COP to submit an audited corporate political influencing statement. Washington, U.S. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, who everybody knows that I really like him, and because I think he is really bright and he's on the right side of history. They sent a letter to Joe Biden, President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen, United Nations Secretary António Guterres, and the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And they were urging the officials to rid the COP of all future international climate talks of persistent interference from the fossil fuel industry. And that should be done, okay? That transatlantic letter, signed by 133 members of Congress and the European Parliament, was delivered as countries prepare for the Bonn Climate Change Conference in early June. So obviously, it didn't happen, But Sheldon Whitehouse and others at least tried, But is this ever in the news? Would you have heard this on the news on Channel 4? Yeah, they're talking about Ginger Z has a great show, but did you hear this on the news? On any mainstream media? Well, I don't watch the mainstream media, but I can't because I don't get it. So they also requested that the UNFCCC require companies participating in the COPs to submit an audited corporate political influencing statement that discloses climate-related lobbying, campaign contributions, and funding of trade associations and organizations active on energy and climate issues. According to one analysis, at least 636 lobbyists from the oil and gas industries registered to attend last year. COPs offer the largest and most important venue to find international agreement on ways to solve the climate crisis, said Whitehouse. Companies participating should be required to file audited climate political footprint statements to ensure transparency at the world's major forum for leading the planet to safety in the race against climate change. I think Sheldon really does know the big picture, but Sheldon is an activist senator. So he does this with dark money. He's done this with sea level rise. He talks about this. He talks the talk. But I doubt it happened. Big oil interests have contaminated our climate for decades, and they shouldn't be able to control our climate negotiations for a livable future. And that was Senator Markey, the other guy that's a pretty decent guy on climate in the United States. And so the other ones that co-signed it were Richard Blumenthal, Edward Markey, a lot of people, Bernie Sanders, Liz Warren, Peter Welch. Okay, this was pretty good. I wonder what Republicans signed. Should I find the horror for that? What Republicans signed this letter? Do you think there were any? So I'm not going to read the whole letter, but you get the drift. They really want, it's a good letter. So they really want the fossil fuel industry the hell out, okay? So they don't want this guy in there. So this is the website. And actually, for this, I think I'll play a little bit of light music for this one, for Halloween. Yeah, because it is COP28 in the UAE, and it's got a climate tech startup accelerator. Join the world of actionism. Let's get to work. 28 days, 22 hours. Join the world of actionism. Find out more. All right, let's find out more. Actionism. Sign up to learn about how you can get involved. Well, get involved, guys. Get involved. They're going to unite everybody. The UAE, they're going to unite everybody from government and business to civil society, youth and NGOs in a concerted drive for inclusive progress towards climate action. Now, what countries are not going to be there in November if the cluster mess, and I'm not going to curse now, if the cluster mess of stuff, I have to change. The cluster mess of stuff that's going on with wars. Do we think that Israel's going to be there or any of the Middle Eastern countries? No. Now, this article is really good. How long have we been? Because, we've been an hour. All right. Well, I wanted to kind of make it an hour, but this is a good article. What the heck is an unabated fossil fuel? One wonky word favored by big oil companies could doom the earth once and for all. Oh, shit. I had subscribed. Go back. I can't read it. God damn it. I had it. It was really good. Let's see if I can get it back. Oh. This is a drag when this shit happens. I mean, I don't want to. I would love to subscribe to everybody, but I can't afford to. That was a good article. I guess I can't read it. Darn. Oh, wait. All right. You'll get the gist. They're talking about COP28, and there's all kinds of negotiations going on. And now I can't read it, so forget it. We're moving on. All right. Sorry, guys. I'm really sad that, yeah, we'll look at that, Jan. I don't know. Wait, I just looked over at the chat. I don't know. It's the first time we did that. She wants a cloud icon. Absolutely. I'll work on that stuff. It was actually kind of fun. But we're going to go to this. Inside the campaign that put an oil boss. So everybody's writing about it, but nobody's really seeing it. Hi, BCAT K. Oh, you'll have to rewind to the whole beginning just to see the whole Halloween shtick. All right. I really don't want to read it because it's long and we've been an hour, but just know that these will all be in there because everybody's bitching about this guy. All the outlets, they're talking about it. They're going through the history. They're going through what he says. And basically he says, wait, the fossil fuel industry should be on the front seat because you want us to stop, right? So that's basically where it is. But he's overseeing a major expansion of the company's oil and gas output. And so as he's going to be leading the COP, which should be all scientific and leaders of countries that have something to do with the policies of our climate and pollution and all of those things, they put this clown in. Yeah, he doesn't even look normal. The fixer. He wears many hats. In addition, look at his eyes. He's got those crazy eyes. Googly eyes. So this one, well, we'll see how it goes. I've watched all of these COPs and I've seen the presidential speeches and what happens there. I'm interested to see what this guy says because there's so many activists that are not happy with this at all. So I'm not going to go through it. The one I wanted to read, I'm quite mad that I couldn't. But all right, they do have a COP28 peace policy, and I think that's pretty cool. And I'm going to go down to the effects of climate change. And they open up, they explain the whole thing. And there's one part here. Here it is. Mitigate the climate and environmental impacts of military and security sector actors. Commit to greenhouse gas emission reporting mechanisms that are robust, comparable, and transparent, are based on the GHG protocol and which are independently verified. Set clear GHG emission reduction targets for the military sector that are consistent with the 1.5 limit. So what they're saying at COP and all the countries together, and not just the United States military, but militaries, I go back, militaries, right? Is give us the numbers. Let us know how bad it is. Fully implement and respect the International Law Commission's principles on the protection of the environment in relation to armed conflicts and the ICRC guidelines on the protection of natural environment in armed conflict. Okay. What does it look like in the last year and a half between the two wars we have witnessed going on in front of our faces on social media? What have we seen? Is there protection of the natural environment? I don't think so. Can this be a binding resolution? I don't think so. But I'd like to be optimistic, but it's a hard one. Still, but at least they're making the policies, and they're saying the states can prevent and minimize environmental harm and enhance environmental stewardship, which I like. Invest in the resolution of conflicts within and between countries before they turn violent. Now, we could have used that October 7th. To slow for a reduction of military spending. The IPCC WG3 indicates that moderate reductions in military spending could free up considerable resources for the SDG agenda. The IPCC should prepare a special report, finally, on climate change and military activity, collating the science that points to the need for an update to the IPCC methodology for greenhouse gas inventories to include thorough military emissions reporting. So basically what this is saying is we want to know how effed we are, basically, from the military, right? But at least it's there. At least it's there. So I'm going to end with Ben C. I didn't want to end with a downer, but man, you know, there was a couple of them. He's saying the 1.5C budget is basically gone. Climate change is just one compounding factor in extinction catastrophe. The data are rock solid. We are in rapid mass extinction crisis. Only immediate emergency economic system change might limit the doom. That is, and these are a lot of people, scientists, that are saying these things, but that is what I think the hope of the degrowth movement, to degrow economies, shrink economies, and MMT comes together. So I'm definitely going to address this. I think it's fascinating to see what people do. Okay. All right. So I'm not going to go through everything either, because then we'll just leave really super depressed. But he's got the goods here. He's got the goods that show that 2C of global warming must be anticipated by 2032 to 52. And I don't know if any amount of electric cars are going to do it, but we'll see a COP, we'll see the capitalists talking about making the changes at Burger King's. Okay, so I'm coming back to you, and I want to read some comments and talk a little bit and then say goodnight. I enjoyed doing this. I did, and I had fun because nobody came trick-or-treating to my house. They wouldn't. My driveway is way far back, and I have 2 little solar lights, and nobody's ever going to bring their kid here. They never have, and they never will. So let's see. I had 12. I want to thank you again. Dog Dude, thank you so much for the super chat. This is really friggin' awesome. I'm excited. It's made me feel like, all this hard work. I mean, not that Buy Me a Coffee didn't. I'm grateful. I can't say that enough. And I will work harder because I've got ideas for the wintertime when I'm not going to be doing much outside, except doing my walking. So, Kevin, thank you for the great work, Sandy. Very informative streams. You're welcome. That's my whole point, is to educate and bring in and show you. And all the stuff will be in the show notes. But, this is happening. COP28 is happening. We've had Paul Beckwith has attended many years. It used to be Stuart Scott, who was, we followed on our channel. And years ago, it wasn't as negative feeling as it is now. And the negative feeling is because we've seen everything is so slow, and we've seen weather extremes become so much more faster than previously expected. People are doing things. They are making new batteries. These companies, corporations, it's going to happen because we are a capitalist society. So it's going to happen. Whether it's too late, Ben C. and a lot of other scientists do think we're in trouble. That's why I like to talk about prepping and preparing. That's why I like to suggest channels like Hoople's Cat. He's great. Vegematic, thank you. Your channel is wonderful. And I just appreciate all of you. Okay, chatty chats. Let's see. Favorites. This is pretty wild. Christy Z. Oh, yeah, I said that before. You love my show, but I reveal terrifying truths. Well, twice a week.
And then you can, then go back to different. And then I'm doing Wednesday night with Andrea and Jake and Matt. And that is my walk away from the doomosphere. That is my walk away. And we talk about different topics. And we're getting into a groove. And I enjoy it because it's intellectually stimulating. And I love that. I do. So I really appreciate all of you. All right, guys. Hi, Mark. Mark's here, Gene, David McCraig, Rollins Switch. Hey there, buddy. I know Humpty was here, but the truth, it's great to see all of you. Thank you. What can you do? Jake, I look forward to Wednesday. That'll be fun. We have some topics we talked about. We don't know how serious we're going to get or if we just want to keep it light because the world is just so heavy. It is just too heavy. We need a break sometimes. All right, guys. I gotta go wash all of this off because it's not me at all. Your Kimberly TamiLaurenGargoyle, Republican Trump supporting off-work Newsmax and OAN Fox host with an IQ of 88, filling in for that tree-hugging biatch, Sandy.